always start the same way. Hi, everyone.
I find that when I watch other people's Instagrams and they're doing multiple stories, like live stories, they always start, the first word is always the same. Like, hey, or like they have their one.
Hello.
Yes, that they start every single time.
Let us know if you are around. Can we have your phone?
Yes.
Because I want to watch and see, because I don't think we can see comments.
Okay, so
straight
down the middle.
You all know the password.
Yep.
Don't. How's everybody today? Anybody there? We haven't been live for a little bit. Life has happened, and so do you recommend lazy parenting? Yes, of course you do. We should go in and do it.
But I think I have to write something. That's why I haven't.
I'll write it for you.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Does it say that we're live?
Maybe I might.
Oh, there. Lazy parenting is live. Let's see. Oh, we want that on sound.
Yes. There you go. It's delayed.
Do you have lots of battery right now?
I should have fine.
Okay. So make sure you give us some hearts or say hello if you join us. I'm wearing my glasses so I can see any comments that come up.
I cannot read that.
It's because you should wear glasses. I was wearing your glasses from your desk yesterday because I forgot mine and I couldn't do any work without them.
That's okay.
So happy, what is it?
Thursday.
The last Thursday before the kids go back to school if you are here in Canada.
Well, yeah, it's all of Canada.
Yeah, I think so. Because all my friends back east, look, I have a whole bunch of friends back east.
Their kids go to school.
I'm really popular. All the people that I know back east have not gone back to school yet. It's mostly just the people in the States that are back to school. Started last week or the week before.
So it started like mid-August.
Even a month. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start playing with things. Yeah. So
5 more days till school.
Hi, Kelly.
Kelly. Oh, hi, Kelly.
We're just chatting until people jump on board. We were going to talk today a little bit about the blog post. That's what we always do. We talk about the blog post that I posted this week. And it was all about all things back to school. And I had some fun comments from people that enjoyed it or hopefully got a little bit of value out of it. If you did, let me know because I like to know. Kelly, you're the 5th. My big girl starts kindergarten.
Oh, that was me last year.
That's exciting. Kindergarten is exciting. Although it takes forever for them to actually be gone. I feel like the gradual entry kindergarten is a pain in the ass. Because you can't, if you work, you can't really go to work. Or
it's
you
like
have
for 3 weeks. Right. Like they don't go full time till the 3rd week, which is fine for stay-at-home moms or moms that like are flexible work schedules. But I mean, like last year, my kid was ready
to go all day.
Day one.
Because a lot of them now, so what's different from me, when my first ones went into kindergarten, they came from preschool, which was only, for 4-year-old preschool, it was only 3 days a week, half days. Yes. So they went from like only going to school a little bit of time to going to school full time, right? And that was one of my things, and there's one of my parts of my post that I talked about. But for lots of kids that are in daycare full time or preschool now, like was Nate's preschool full time?
No,
we choose a different one?
I couldn't get him in full time. It was too full. So he still went only 3 days, half day, like for 2 hours a day for the 3 days. But I mean, he's an active kid. So, and he's here, he comes to work with us or did, right? So he was fine. Whereas with Nick and Liz, the older two, you still only had half day kindergarten.
Correct.
It didn't come mandatory till Riley's year.
Right. And that's why in my post, I talk about grade 1 with Nick being a disaster the first
Oh, you remember?
I remember fighting with him so much. So I'm going to talk about, I can talk about that a little bit on, but back to school is, it was rough because this whole thing, what's it called?
No idea.
I abbreviated it, ASRC. I don't know. But I can't remember what it's called. But this idea of attention. No, I don't know what it calls. I gotta read the blog post now because I don't know what it's called. The couple of things that I talked about. So I'm going to start because we're 5 minutes in here. I want to talk about the 5 things that I talked about on the blog post, and then Dawn will give us her thoughts and see, because we each have had now 7 kids total go to school and do that whole first start thing. Yes. So number 1 is a schedule, and this is one that I do recommend that if you can this week. It's already Thursday. Right. It's hard on the weekend. And I don't know, some of you with little ones may do a really good job of keeping their summer schedule the same as their school schedule. I find that's much more difficult as they get older and as they become teenagers. I mean, the whole monitoring of bedtime and things like that changes drastically as they get older. You don't really have bedtime. Like,
No.
I don't have a bedtime for my teenagers. Like, it's not like, and I think it's a good thing because hopefully what I've done over the years is train them and brainwash them into knowing that sleep is important.
Yeah.
And that they're not going to feel good in the morning if they have to get up or.
So I think the difference with you is that your kids, because they do so many sports, they have to wake up early. So for them, going to bed early is kind of important, where I feel like kids that don't do much might go to bed super late thinking that they're going to sleep in the morning. Like, I know a lot of
In the
parents,
summertime, you mean?
well, even during school, I have a few acquaintances that one of their biggest complaints is they can't get their kid up for school. And it's because they let their kid go to bed at 11 o'clock last night.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of your own fault.
Right, that's my point. That's my point. You have to be able to know.
Like, yeah, so getting up, and true enough. So my kids do summer swimming, which starts, but even before that, no, I guess that's really the only reason why they've ever had to get up early. So in the summertime, they don't really have the luxury of sleeping in like every day. I mean, little kids get up anyways, right? Like, it's not really until they're, what, like maybe 10? Or do your kids like to sleep?
No, we're not there yet.
Okay, so that's what I mean, right? Riley's 12-ish?
Yeah, almost 12, and she goes to bed usually. She was right in grade 6 this past year,
yeah.
And this is the first year where I let her stay up past my bedtime for the boys, which is 8:30.
Right.
And it's mainly because we're here.
Right, if your sports go later. So as your kids
That's
get
the
older,
only
they
reason.
end up having later bedtimes. And so that has happened naturally with my kids as well, because they may not get home until 9, and then they need to eat. They need to wind down, and then they need to, may want to watch a show and then read a book, and then go to sleep.
Yes.
But going back onto schedule, so for that, I think is a big one, because if you have deviated, a lot, so with my teenagers, there's been some late nights because I get home late, they get home late, yet we want to watch a show together, or we're going to want to do something. So we may not get to bed till 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, late for us isn't like, I wouldn't let them stay up till midnight or 1, because then they're not going to get up in the morning. Like, I still expect them to get up
Right.
in the morning. I do let them sleep in a little bit because they only have a few days. Like, if their bodies are sleeping, I let them sleep to some degree because I feel like they may need it.
Right.
Like, I also want them to self-regulate. I think self-regulation is a really, really big thing that we need to help teach our kids how to do. So they need to learn, how do they feel, if they're in the house all day and they start to get antsy, or they're starting to fight with their siblings. That happened a little bit in my house yesterday. One of my kids did not get out of the house. And boy, was that, I'm not going to use a pronoun, that child, so you don't know which one it was. That child was a pain in the butt. He kept touching other people and like standing near other people to get them like all riled up and stuff like that. So I always call them out on it, and so that they kind of understand that kind of that behavior is becoming because they have pent up energy or they haven't done anything that day. So we do talk about that. So I talk about, the big thing with the schedule is bedtime and wake up time. So waking them up now, because what time is your wake up time for school?
My kids wake up on their own. They're usually up between 6 and 6:30. Okay,
so they're not a problem waking up, and you keep the same schedule over the summer.
Yes, because I don't change my nighttime schedule during the summer. And so unless we're out doing a family activity or I had to bring them all to practice, then they still go to bed at 8:30 because I need my time.
Yeah, that's
about my kids.
So that's a hard thing. If you're a parent of a teenager, that goes away.
Well, I noticed that with Riley this year, and I was so annoyed because
it gets worse.
Yeah, she's up till the summer. I let her stay up till 10, and then I was like, there was no my own time because my husband goes to bed at 9.
Yeah. So that's the hard thing. So if you are a parent of a teenager, that's something hard as a mom. I find it as a mom because we're spend all day with them and we're working, which is great. We love them.
Yes.
Yay. Well, no,
because then I can't watch a show that I want to watch.
Sometimes you want to watch a show that's just for you, right? Or whatever. And we have a rule, like I've talked about before, like not really allowed to watch TV in the bedroom or whatever. So I try not to take my phone, or I have like a little iPad mini that I can watch Netflix on. I try not to go up to my bedroom and watch, although sometimes I want to, just for that reason, because I want to watch a show that's not appropriate for my children, that I just want to watch by myself.
Yes.
So those are all things that all of us struggle with, I think, in trying to get back on. So sorry.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, because my husband goes to bed at 9 o'clock because it's to be up at 4:30. So he's asleep before me every night. And so I do sometimes, and I'll go up and then watch TV on my bed because he's already sleeping. It's not like we would have done anything otherwise. I just mean talk or whatever. So anyways, so it's just, I miss my alone time at nighttime because my time to decompress. Yeah. And I still have a child. Yeah.
Okay, and then the second one that I set was schedule, trying to get them back on a schedule, even an eating schedule.
Oh yeah, because mine snack a lot through the day versus
when
eating.
They're home.
Yeah. Eating meals.
Well, because I didn't cook all summer, so I think I talked about that. Yeah, and I didn't have a kitchen for the last couple of weeks because I just have redone my kitchen, so we ate out a lot. 1 meal a day is what I tell them. I'll give them 1 meal. They're responsible for the other meal. That's all I can do. I'm going to get back on. I don't know if you saw that Walmart is now starting to deliver groceries.
Oh, I did when I went to Walmart the other day because I live right near one. Yeah. I saw the stalls.
Yeah. So, no, that's pickup.
Oh, pickup. You mean delivery?
They deliver to your house.
Oh, no, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I was looking it up. So I may try that because I may like Walmart pricing better than Save on Foods. That's the only two. Locally, there's only two that do that, other than Spud. We've used Spud before as well, but for like regular groceries and things like that. So I gotta get back on
way
that.
More than
and prices are good, right?
Yeah.
So I think Walmart might be the one to go with. Okay, so the number 2 that I wanted to talk about was setting expectations, or no, not setting. Talking about what to expect, what their expectations are about going back to school, and maybe doing a dry run. And this comes from me as my history as a teacher. And so one of the things between Dawn and I is she was never a teacher. She doesn't really know how schools work other than through your own experience of working your way through schools. Yeah. Versus myself and my husband, we're both teachers. And so we know how a school works, and we know some of the secrets, maybe.
I was going to say, you have so many secrets that an average mother would not know.
I mean, I can share these.
Yeah, you should do a post on that.
I'm hoping that they'll just come up. So this is, to me, one of those secrets that maybe people don't necessarily know. And that's that in most schools, the secretary is working. So the head secretary, whether it's a high school or an elementary school, usually works the whole summer. Like, don't get summer holidays off. And so the schools are usually open through the summer. All the teachers, and every district's a little bit different. Like Chris's admins all went back last week. They had their big retreat, all that kind of stuff. But most of the admins start 2 weeks before the school officially opens. And for sure a week before the school actually opens. So all the admin is there, which I mean like principals and vice principals, whichever school you go to. I don't know in different countries if it's called different things. And then the teachers start to show up usually this week.
Yeah, I've seen so many.
Right, because most teachers are super organized and excited to go back. And want to plan. Like, it's a lot of work.
Getting their classrooms ready.
Right. Especially if they're moving to a new school or moving to a new classroom. Sometimes they get moved around. If they're teaching a new grade, like there's a lot of work that has to go in behind teachers. Yes. We love you. Yes. You work hard. And so that this week, there's a lot of stuff going on in the school, which means the schools are open. And so if I've been pretty lucky. My kids are not uber anxious or get really stressed out about these sorts of things. It's been pretty, I've had a pretty good go of it. But if I had a child that was really anxious or scared about either going into a new school, like if between K and grade 7, if it's a new school, or going into kindergarten or grade 1, or going into grade 8. So here are the well, if for some of you guys that are in like POCO and things like that, you have middle school, so grade 6 to 9. Like anytime that there's a transition, if I had a child that was really anxious, I would try to get them in this week. So I wouldn't really tell anybody. I would like feign, what's that thing? Do first ask for forgiveness afterwards. Oh, yes. I would either walk with the child, like show them the route to the school. If they're going to be walking, if you're going to be driving, then you can drive with them. And then go into the school and just, just kind of do a quick walk around through the school. You know, even if it's just walk around the outside of the school, show them the playground. If it's not a neighborhood school that you get to play at very often, take them through, show them where washrooms, show them where the grade 3 classrooms. Another thing is, a lot of the classrooms will already have the little sticker on the outside of the door. So you won't know what class your child is in, and you won't know for a week here locally which classroom they're in. There's a lot of shuffling that happens the first week of school. But each classroom will have, like, it'll say grade 3 French immersion or grade 7 or something like that. So you can walk in and you can actually show them where those different classrooms are and where the bathroom is and all that kind of stuff. And in high school, you can do it as well. And I mean, if you wanted to ask permission, you could do that too. I'm sure that schools are really accommodating. So if you had a child that was severely anxious, or there were other issues there that they needed to feel more comfortable, then you could do it that way as well.
That's a good idea. I never wouldn't have to do that myself, even though I do have anxious kids. It's not about that part of it. So
And the other one I think I talk about is friends. So if you have depending on what age, I know that this is when they're transitioning to middle school or to high school, right? That first day, I remember being so scared.
Yeah, high school. Yeah.
Right? Picking out what you're going to wear and all that kind of stuff. Is if you can help, hopefully they can do it themselves, but if they can't, maybe you can suggest or help them organize, like, who can they walk with to the school, just so they're not walking by themselves into that school. If they have a sibling, like, I made my kids walk together.
Yes.
Until, like, grade 8, like when Elizabeth had friends when she first went into grade 8, they all walked together. And then, like, Nick walked with Elizabeth the first little bit to school. And then, so that would be my other suggestion, is to do things like that. Dry runs, make sure they have a friend to walk with, and how they're getting home. And then you can't really help them out with their friends in the classes at this point, because you don't know what classes they're in. Right?
Yes.
So that's hard. Oh, and if you're a new mom, know that. A new mom of new kids in school, they won't know their classes, right? So if they're going into grade 1, they'll go to their kindergarten class, likely here locally, and they'll spend the week in that class, and they won't really actually move to their real teacher. In my school, it's not until the Monday, maybe the Friday.
Maybe the Friday, but same. Ours is usually the following Monday. And it's super frustrating as a parent, but just get used to it. It's not something you can fight. The admin and the school board control how many kids are in a class. I learned this a lot last year, and that the principal has to send off their school class list to the superintendents, and they have to approve it, and it's all based on how many kids are with special needs, how many kids have this, how many kids have that, who can't be with who, and it's a big puzzle.
It is.
I love puzzles. I would love to be the one that does that, but it is.
No, because then you deal with all the parents who are upset. Like,
I know.
It's not a fun job.
Okay, I'm an upset parent. I've already sent an email today, so.
To the school?
Yes.
Why, do you know something about that?
Well, no, just as I know in our school, it'll probably be 2 grade 6, 7 splits.
Yeah.
With my daughter going to grade 7, and the prediction is that they're going to keep the classes the same as last year.
Yeah.
And we had troubles in our class last year, and the only person as Riley's friend last year in her class just moved to Alberta.
Right.
Which means she will not have a friend in her class. And with going into grade, we only have 12 girls in our grade. And with only 3 out of the 12 continuing on to French immersion next year, and the other 2 kids in the other class, I think she needs to be with friends that she's going to be able to then take with her to the next school, so that she has a connection, because she has a hard time.
I will say that grade 8, if your kids are going
just starting off,
for
she
sure,
needs a friend.
But in grade 8, for you, or I guess middle school, do you go to class in middle school?
That I don't know.
If anybody out there knows that, I would like to know the answer to that. I don't know how that works. But if you are going into grade 8, what I have seen with my kids is you go into grade 8. Yes, you only have really your friends from necessarily elementary school. But if your kids are involved in lots of activities or sports, again, here's my little plug to why I think team sports are important and things like that, is then they have a greater friendship base, or at least friendly faces that they'll know in a classroom when they walk in. Like, they'll recognize, or they'll have a friendly enough conversation, like that other person is looking for someone to sit with, to go and sit down with. And so if they can do lots of sports in the community and meet different people, it does give them a little bit of an advantage, again, going into a new situation, because they just know so many more people than just the few. And ultimately, they're in grade 8, everybody has to take the same amount of classes. So your schedule dictates kind of who you hang out with in your classes, because it's kind of the same people, because they're all kind of on the same schedule. And so if you're lucky, you're lucky. If you're not, you're kind of not.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Okay, number 3. So I did schedule, getting them back onto schedule. Number 2, if you have anxious kids or kids that want to know what's going on, to sort of do dry runs and get the feel of the land. Number 3 is school supplies. Now, our schools are different, I believe. My elementary school, you pay a fee. And so I don't buy any school supplies.
That would be so awesome.
Right. So I think, so we have a different experience with elementary school, school supplies. In elementary school, I pay I don't even know what it is yet, but I pay a fee for each child, and that gives them their use of classroom stuff. So I don't have to do pencil crayons or felts or anything like that. I'm pretty sure. Like, I haven't done that in a long time. They might want some of their own things. And so then maybe they'll take a pencil case in their backpack so that they have their own things that they want. And then we get a list, once they're in their classroom, which isn't for like a week, we then get a notice home that has like the curriculum and all of that. And then the teacher asking for you to bring in things like everybody brings in a Kleenex box.
Yes.
You know, everybody has to have their clothes, spare clothes in the cubby. Everybody has to have their indoor shoes, like all that kind of stuff. But none of it is supplies. Like, I don't have to deal with that for elementary school. Now, you in elementary school, you get a list.
Yeah, so on our school website, and actually at Staples carries the school list for all the local schools in our city and the city next to us, because we're so close to that next city. And so, I was, we used to have where they would have a company that we could go and just order, like they would just do a bag and you could just pay a fee and then get it. But they stopped doing that 2 years ago. So literally, I had all 3 kids. I had to take their list to Staples and Walmart and buy everything on the list. I can't still find some of the items that are on the list.
Well, so they each need their own scissors, and they each need their own pencil sharpener and things like that?
Erasers and notebooks and binders.
And do you find that they all get used?
No.
Right.
So I make my kids, they are not allowed to use, they want to play with the stuff that's left over, have it for whatever. And I'm like, nope, I keep it in a bag, and then I fill as much of all of theirs with whatever was left over first, and then I only buy what I couldn't fill.
So you keep it at home. They don't take it to school on the first day, all their supplies.
Not till they get to their classroom.
Okay, and then they don't take all of it, though. They take a pencil and a pack of pencil crayons?
For the first week,
or does the teacher tell them what to bring?
Yeah, teacher will say, just bring your pencil crayons or whatever.
So my part of the school supply thing is, you're not going to get in trouble if they don't have their stuff on the first day.
No,
and so
for sure the first day.
My theory here, again, is the whole ask forgiveness if you need to.
Yeah.
But to think that you have to stress out and purchase all of the stuff that's even on that list for grade 1 or whatever grade you're starting in, I don't think you need to do that. And so my recommendation is don't. You can, if you know that they're going to obviously need pencil crayons or whatever, you can buy them a few things, but don't go crazy over it. They don't need, I see it in grade 8. So here, because we have grade 8, which is the next turn, or I guess if you're in a different city, might be grade 9 is when they go to high school. The kids would bring the wrong stuff. So as a teacher, they would bring, their parents, or they thought, I have 8 subjects. I have day 1 and day 2. I'm going to buy 2 huge binders.
Oh, yes.
One for day 1 and one for day 2. They'd come to my classroom, and I was like, because part of teaching them in grade 8 and grade 9 is organizational skills and how to plan and to get their homework done and all of that. And so as a grade 8 teacher, every single subject should have their own binder. That's what we taught them. So there's 4 binders for each day.
Yeah.
I didn't want them, I would get kids saying, I have 1 binder, I'll go home and I'll put them in the other binder. Didn't work, especially if your child is not organized. If they're a bit messy or a bit disorganized at home, their room is a disaster. That's all my kids. None of my kids are neat and tidy.
Not even your first one?
No, her room, maybe a little bit, but she has control of all of her stuff though.
Yes.
So, but I just mean losing notices, and they get better. They have to get better as they get through high school, but that's part of what they learn, right? So whether it's grade 8 or grade 9, they have to learn how to manage all of the notices and all of the homework and their notes and things like that. And so again, I would have them wait until they actually see their teachers. Their teacher will give them a list on the first day, second day maybe, and it's an outline of the course, and in it will say, this is what you should have. That's what you should buy.
I agree. And I think going to school for the first day, whether it's elementary or high school, is you just bring some basics that you have paper to write on, and you have some pens, some pencils.
The teachers will tell them what they need to have. So you don't need to go crazy.
And mostly just because our school is different than your school, is that even in kindergarten, for our school, we did not need to buy school supplies. They gave us a list on our first day of kindergarten when you go in to meet your teacher.
Yeah.
And we got our list then. So Kelly, don't stress out if you haven't received anything yet. Again, as long as they only go for an hour, for goodness sakes, for kindergarten. So you don't need anything until you're told otherwise.
Yeah. So that's my other suggestion. And then, I mean, I don't know about all of you with back to school shopping. It's not a thing in my house. I don't do back to school shopping. I think I live in a bit of a different, obviously I do. My family is very different than the family that I grew up in. We, have a little bit more money than perhaps, it's disposable income than perhaps my parents would have had when we were little. So we only ever got things
back to school or on our birthday or at Christmas. I didn't get stuff just when I needed it. It was, you had to wait until the next event to get what you wanted, right? Yes.
I didn't get new shoes, and I would get them for my birthday or get them for Christmas. Because
I not lucked out, the opposite of lucked out, because my birthday is the day after Christmas. I wouldn't even get two separate things. I got one thing.
Right. And so for my family, I tell them, I'll just get you something when you need it. If your shoes have holes in them, I'll buy you new shoes.
Right.
Which, although they'll tell me that I don't do that.
That's true.
It takes a little bit longer. So they wear holy shoes for a little bit longer than maybe they should. But it's just, again, how much they don't need all of that stuff. And so if money is tight, don't let them tell you that they need all this stuff.
No.
They don't need all that stuff. Or they pay for it themselves. My teenagers, so one of the things about teenagers is I buy the necessities now that they're getting older. I have a 16 and a 15-year-old. I will buy them because I know their feet are growing. Like my son's feet grow 2 sizes every month. I feel like he's still growing. So I get your shoes don't fit. Okay, it's probably my responsibility as a parent to buy you a pair of shoes. Right. But that's a pair of shoes or two, like a pair of running shoes and maybe a pair of casual shoes. Anything you want above and beyond that, that's your money. So they wanted to go back to school shopping. So we hit the outlets a couple days ago and I bought, a few things, and then anything else that they want to buy, they, sorry, I got distracted. They have to pay for. So they bought the extra pair of Vans that they wanted for school. I bought one pair of shoes. Yeah. They bought the other pair of shoes with their money.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I would do when my kid gets older.
They need a jacket. Okay, obviously they need a jacket, to walk to school in the rain or whatever. So I'll buy them a jacket. But if they want fancy things or above my budget, then that's their own money. And I highly, highly recommend that you do that. Even if you have the money, even if you're really rich, don't buy it for them. Make them buy it for themselves.
Right. And I remember as a kid, I agree. When I was a kid, for sure, back to school shopping, we went out and we got whatever it was. But I remember specifically going to Sears at Metrotown because that's all there was when I was a kid. There was no Metrotown. And we did the shopping. And that's where we even bought our school supplies at Sears. Well, yes, now. But what I do, because I don't do that with my kids regarding clothes and whatnot, is that I do use the back to school time as a reminder to go through my kids' closets.
I did that as well.
Yeah. And so because I have my youngest 2 are boys, obviously stuff from Tommy gets passed down to Nate, mostly tops, not pants. And so I go through their closet and I rearrange their age stuff.
I make them do it themselves.
Oh, no, because not yet. Not yet for me.
Yeah, they're too. Oh, Nate's too little. Yeah. And Tommy's 9. So I do the same thing. Yeah. I will say, go look through your things. I want a pile of stuff that you're going to donate. Yeah. Any t-shirts you don't wear, any pants you don't wear, any shorts that you don't wear. I need to see, and then I want to see how many pairs you have. If you're telling me you only have 1 pair of shorts, well, I better go up into that drawer and see only 1 pair of shorts. Because if you have 5 pairs of shorts that you just don't wear, that's different situations. Right. And I may not be quite so giving of my money.
Yeah, and then I try on their jackets because that first day of rain is going to come, and if they don't actually have a jacket because they've been wearing hoodies all summer, then that's what I do. So I use that time as a benchmark.
My kids still wear a hoodie in the rain.
Well, yeah, of course they do.
Yeah. We're pretty low key, but so that's my other thing about school supplies. So supplies, but then also clothing. So again, I see a lot of families that just, you know, buy so much stuff for their kids. And I just, you know, I'm cheap.
Me too.
So I think that's important. Okay, so that was number 1 was the schedule. Number 2 was expectations. Number 3 was school supplies. My 4th thing, because we're already at 30 minutes, okay, was the make sure that you are aware that children, and the article that I read talked about up to around 12 years old. What you can see is some really severe behavior when they come home from school in regards to stuff that you haven't seen before, whether they're moody, whether they're talking back to you, whether they're just like, think of them as coming home and releasing all of the stress that they have held in for the day, especially if your kids are pretty well behaved. Like if they don't have problems at school, they're really, you know, if they're well behaved, they may be holding that all in. So when they come home, it's like a release, right? And they just need time to decompress. And so I saw this mostly with my son when, like you said, he went from kindergarten half day to full day grade 1. And it was like, I don't know, he turned into, it was like I remember.
That's crazy.
He had some big issues, like being so like just wild when he came home. And so what we've learned to do and what they've kind of learned to do, again, because self-regulation I think is key, is that he learned that he needs to go and have alone time. So he would go up into his room, which is kind of attached to a playroom. So it's quite a large space. And he would go up in there and I might not see him for an hour. Yeah. Now, again, there was no technology up there. There's no food up there. So he had to come out for food. Yes. And so he would go up there and he'd spend a lot of time in there just playing when he's little, playing by himself and just having that time. And no one else was allowed to go in the room. That was another thing, which with 4 kids, for one kid to kind of take up a whole large space of the house was something that we had to work through. But again, I felt it was something that he needed. Like, and although you might say that's not fair, like why can't the other boy who shares that room go into that room? It was really about learning, like we have to respect each other and what each kid needs in the family. And so I gave him that respect. Like I let him have that large space of the house to do his thing because nobody else in the family really needed it. Like he was really the only one out of the 4 who had this adjustment. And I think it is because he went from half day to full day versus all my other kids, kindergarten, gradual, and then it was full day. And so maybe they adjusted younger and it wasn't quite so severe. So hard, but it was a big, I think, so keep an eye out for that. Don't forget that they're going to be really tired. They may be hungry. I talk a little bit about, I try to have snacks after school if I'm being a really good mom. I don't do that very often though. I try, because I'm at home. I'm not at work at that time. We have the luxury of owning our own business so that we have this flexibility. So both of us are usually home when the kids get home from school. And so we can, you know, they were really appreciative. That's what I would know. I don't do it all the time. So it's not an expectation. They don't expect there to be snacks ready for them when they come home from school. Often they have to fend for themselves. But I do if I'm being a nice mom and like, I want to, you know, show them some appreciation or give them a congratulations for something or they've been awesome in the house, I will make them a snack. Yeah. Like I might have cookies or I might have sweet potatoes cooked up already in the oven or things like that. Right. That are easy that they can have after school.
The other note on this is that I find that my kids, mainly my oldest, is that if she goes for a long extended play date, or even a sleepover, she'll come home like that, where she is like moody, like and so it's the same. And same with Thomas. Even he's very much like that, just on a regular basis at school. He comes home and he kind of lets it all out. Poor little guy. Yeah, so we're working through that as well. And so
and so I don't know in your house if that works. Like if he wants to be around you when he's doing that, or if you can like if he
usually goes to his room himself and he'll shut the door.
Right.
And then it's just really hard to get Nate not to want, because they share a room, like so then Nate acts up. So I have to figure out what to do with Nate so that Thomas can have his alone time. Yeah, because that will involve me actually doing something versus where I'm usually like,
or finding something. Yeah, and that was finding something for the other one to do, because I have that same too. I still have that problem with other people being allowed access into that special room in my house. And sometimes I just say no, like to the one who wants the room. Yes. No, it's open right now. It's not yours. Like everybody gets to use it right now. If you don't like it, then go find another space to be alone. And so even if it's sometimes with your room, I think I did that when they were little. if it was if they needed it, but the other kids wanted like this the playroom, like
Right.
so that's where all the toys are. Then I would make the one who wants to be alone take whatever he wants and go into my room.
Yeah.
So you could try that too.
Yeah.
Tommy, like
Yeah.
bring his whatever into your room,
Right.
but Nate has access to his bedroom,
Right.
right? Because it is kind of weird that way.
Yes.
Or he can go downstairs to the playroom and nobody, I don't know. Like,
Yes.
there are other ways of trying to kind of tweak it and figure out
that seems
how
to be the
works.
time that Nate wants to be with Thomas. You know, like
Yeah, hasn't seen him all day.
yeah, they don't really see each other at school.
Yeah.
It's always like he wants to know. They're like best friends.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna, new school year, figure it out.
And timers with kids.
Yeah, I do
works
that.
really well, right? So Nate, Tommy's going to have 30 minutes. We're going to set the timer.
I use it.
Tommy, you get 30 minutes alone time,
Yeah.
and then we have to act like a family.
Right. Oh Lord.
Okay, so that was number 4, and then my last one was homework. And we've been on for a while now, so I want to finish up. Number 5 was homework, and what did I say about homework? I said, about when to do it and stress. And again, along with number 4, when I'm talking about them coming home and kind of laying it all out, was talking about homework. I was reading up on some articles and things like that, and asking your child, like as soon as they walk in the house, that they have to sit down and do their homework, I think is an unrealistic expectation on your children.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the way to do it. I think you need to give them time. So like we were just talking, they need to decompress. Some of you may not have that option because your kids are off to sports right away. And so my kids are super active. They're each involved in 3, 4, 5 sports a week. Most days there's something. So they will learn when those pockets of time are that they get their work done. And again, it's having that discussion with them. Yeah. So my teenagers kind of know which day of the week is their down. Like there might be one day a week where they don't have anything. Then that's the day of the week that they need to sit down and do their homework. Along with that, my biggest thing, and I'm lucky, I get that. My kids have done pretty well in school and haven't had really any learning challenges at school. And I know so many parents who do have children who have challenges at school. But so I'm going to start first. If your kids are pretty okay at school, it's really, really important that you discuss with them the importance of getting their work done at school. Yes. So in elementary school, most teachers do not give homework.
Except for maybe spelling tests, like to study.
Well, that's French, the dictée. But even that stops. In some schools now, they're getting they're stopping at grade 3 or grade 4. But that was a whole nother headache in our house. We can discuss that another time. But the idea of if you can really talk to your kids about if they get their work done at school, then that makes home time so much better because you don't have to do it at home. I don't have to yell at you. I don't have to pester you to get it done. You don't need to you just don't need to do it. So if they can get the work done at school, highly, highly recommend that. So my kids, again, I've been pretty lucky that way. They don't often bring home a lot of unfinished work.
I get it every day.
Right. And so that's a whole nother challenge, right? Like, how do you do that?
Mine are too social, so they don't get their work done.
Right.
They like to talk.
All right. And so is there a way to set up some kind and the consequences of having to do it isn't strong enough for them not to get their work done at school?
No, because we also argue about doing homework at home. So it's with the middle one, it's a battle no matter what. So
he just doesn't like to do schoolwork.
Yes.
So he's not a big fan of school in general, right?
Right. So he doesn't do it at school and he doesn't want to do it at home.
Right. And so if you had a kind of more of a severe case like that, I do think that that's something that I would recommend you going in and talking to the teacher to come up with strategies of how to do that. So are there ways that then he can have time at school to work on that? So instead of doing something else, maybe he's doing this. Is he getting too much work and he has to do less work in order to do whatever he's doing? Again, children are so different, but teachers are really want what's best for your child. Yes. And so, but you as a parent have to advocate for it because they're not just going to know or to do it. I've made it very clear with most of my kids' teachers that I don't agree with homework in elementary school. I don't like rote work. I don't like work times tables or coloring. And they're not going to do it. And that makes me sound really
entitled.
Yes. But I had one of my kids hated coloring. And so she would finish her work in class and then she'd be told, okay, we'll just color the math page. Well, no, that's a different issue too about how can teachers help? How can you as a parent help support your child get pushed if that's what you're looking for? But right now we're talking about the managing of the homework. And so are they getting too much too? So if it takes your child to do I'm going to say math, let's say there's some 10 math questions and it's taking your child 2 hours to get those 10 questions done. You need to have a conversation with the teacher and find out, like, are all 10 of these questions necessary? Let them know this is taking 2 hours to do at home. That's not reasonable if they have 7 other subjects. Is there a way to do one of each type of question, or are there the beginner and not doing the advanced level of questions? Because as in any subject, if they don't know the foundation of the subject, they're not going to learn anything above that. So how can you as a parent support them at home with the basics of what they need to know? But I would suggest that you really need to talk to teachers. You really need to think outside the box. I know lots of schools have support systems, have support blocks. Like, can you get your kid a support block where they get pulled out to do the work that they're not getting done in class?
I think he does.
I'm not just talking about you.
General,
I'm just in general. Like, if you have a child that's struggling with these sorts of things.
And I think this is one of these things that most moms and dads, if your dad's out there, don't realize is how much the teachers are on your side. And you don't know that until you talk to them. And I think some parents see teachers as like a peer, and it's not usually a good conversation you're having. And so if you can go and meet, if you know your kid has something, sending them an email, calling them, and then setting up a meeting at the beginning of the year and letting them know that you're on their side and you want to do what's best for your kid and ask for their help. Then once you get them on your side, then that makes the whole year easier.
Locally, there's a thing called an IEP, which is Individualized Education Plan, and it works on both ends of the spectrum. It works on the gifted end of the spectrum, and I believe it works on the kids that are struggling in school as well. And so it might be that you need to advocate for your child to get an IEP, because then you have more say as a parent. You meet with the teacher a couple times a year if the money is there and the funding is there. I haven't been able to, they've cut back on that with me and my children lately. But then you can have those meetings and you can talk about, but I think you need to communicate with the teacher what the struggles are, what you know are behaviors, because again, a teacher's not going to want a child who's like acting crazy at school.
Luckily my kids, for example, don't act crazy. They're nice, they're polite, they're respectful. He just will sit there and not do anything all day. And that's frustrating for her and for me. And probably for him as well. And I think that if you let your teacher know, like what you were just saying, talking to them, is let them know that, it's not their job to solve your problem, that it's a joint effort. And then that will be better moving forward. Right,
but that can't happen. Like, your kid can't be sitting there not doing anything all day. But so you have to advocate is what I'm saying. Like, really, talk to your friends. If you have friends that are teachers, find out from them what might be some avenues or things that you can do. But you have to, it's like going to the doctor. You have to advocate for yourself. If you know something's wrong, you need to get the tests to figure out what it is, right? If there's something not working in the school with your child in the class, you need to advocate to help get them the help that they need. So that's my fifth one. Homework. And then setting up a place for them to do their homework at home is a good job too. Good. And different kids, again, I think you need to respect each of your children's own quirks about how they get work done.
So you don't make all, for example, on a night, you don't have all 4 of your kids do their homework at the exact same time. I mean, your kids probably don't have homework, but
no, they're not. Yeah, they do. So for sure. And as they got older, so in the early elementary school, it really was. Our kids are both in French immersion. So it really was dictate. Like, that was all I ever had to do with my kids at home. Again, my kids did most of their work in class, and teachers are really good at elementary at our school about giving them lots of extra time in class to work on projects and things like that. And then as they get older, it's project-based work that comes home. So they have to just take notes, or they need to start doing stuff on the computer. So they need to manage their time and do all of that. And I've had to work with one of my kids with a teacher really in talking about, she needs to give him more direction, because she would say, research Egypt. Well, he would research Egypt for 6 hours, finding out every single thing he could, because his mind was just huge. And so I had to let the teacher know that this was happening, but she doesn't know that that's what's happening. And I say, no. You need to, when I say you need, take that with a grain of salt, but I would say to the teacher, I really need you to give him more guidance. What is he trying to study in Egypt? Let's give him one little circle, because he will find out everything there is to need to know about that. So again, it's knowing.
And he'll think that that's what he needs to do.
Right, because he thinks he needs to know everything about space.
Right.
Like, no, like, we kind of know everything goes 5 comets. Not even all comets, 1 comet. Right. Like, so you need to know your children and how their brains work and how you can best help them. And that's a lot of work. And if you're working full time as a parent, I get that that is really challenging and really difficult. But it's worth it early on, because again, I think the intervention that I've done early on with my kids has paid off in the long run. So as soon as I saw that, like, my oldest hated to color, I was in talking to the teacher saying, is there something else she can be doing other than coloring her math sheet when she's finished her math? Like, what else can we do? And then I would supply it. Like I did. I brought in puzzle books and puzzle things so that she was able to be challenged in a way that worked for her. So all of those, if you start early, then I think it's better. Trying to solve a problem once it's already been going on for years is really difficult. And then your kid already hates school. That was my biggest thing. I didn't want my kids to hate school or hate math, because I'm a ex-math teacher. So that was one of the big things. I tried to make that fun, and you want to do well and all that kind of stuff, brainwash them. I do believe that we as parents can brainwash our kids if we try really hard. Yeah, so those are my 5 things. That was a long one. Oh my gosh, we've been on for 46 minutes. Schedule, expectations, school supplies, ASRC. You have to read my blog to find out what that stands for, because I forget. And homework. And homework. Yeah. So those are 5 things. And I hope everybody has an amazing back to school next week. Again, with your gradual entry and all of that. And for your little babies that are starting kindergarten, or your older babies that are starting grade 8 or even middle school, or going into grade 12, their grad year, which is super exciting as well. I'll be there next year.
Yeah, my niece is there this year. So
so much going on with that, and time management as well. So that's it. I hope you guys found something interesting or something useful. If you did, please comment below or share the video. Let people know that this is what we're doing, that we have this new site that we're trying to get parents to talk together and share knowledge and learn lots of things. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, have a good long weekend, because it's a long weekend everywhere.
In the States as well.
Yes.
There you go. I'm off to,
You're going. Yeah. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.